This is the Speakeasy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be a speaker or an author. Why? Because we know that is conjoined with being an entrepreneur as well. And I've been talking about this episode for a few weeks now, simply because I know that the wisdom you're going to get in this episode, I know that the bricks that may come flying through the screen at you this time are going to be some really powerful ones, because I am talking to none other than Steven. Hey, Steven, how are you today?
I'm well, but man, the pressure is now on.
So I'm super excited. So those of you that do not know, I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, because you hear me, I'm getting tongue-tied already.
Oh, that's silly.
You guys know that on the Speakeasy podcast, I always tell you guys, if you are an author, a speaker, you're an entrepreneur. Well, guess what? If you're an entrepreneur, you're also the author and the speaker. And I got a little bit of time to talk to Steven beforehand about, becoming that face of the brand. That process is not necessarily an easy one, but it can do so much for your brand. So before we even get started in today's topic, Steven, tell them a little bit about yourself and your company.
Oh, yeah. That's a big question. So my name is Steven Sashen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Xero Shoes. That's Xero Shoes.com. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've never had a job. Actually, I've had one job where they made me say things that I hadn't written. I had a couple jobs acting, but otherwise the only job where I even had a paycheck was when I was performing for a living at Busch Gardens, the sort of amusement park in Williamsburg, Virginia, and they pretty much just let me do whatever I wanted. So that didn't really count. But I've had a software company. I've taught internet marketing. I've taught meditation. I've taught financial psychology. I was a professional stand-up comic. I'm an Emmy award-winning television host. I've done a whole bunch of stuff, is the short version of that. And again, Xero Shoes, we started 9 years ago, actually 8 years, 11 months, and 29 days ago. And so here we are now.
So let's dive right into it, because let's be honest. First and foremost, you were on Shark Tank. You got an offer for $400,000. $400,000 is not a sneeze number. It's not like lunch money number.
Well, compared to last night's Mega Millions, it seems like chump change. But other than that, no, 400 grand's a lot of money. And in fact, after we turned it down, we had a lot of people on social media screaming that we were complete idiots for turning down almost $500,000. But it was not a good deal. Kevin wanted half. It was Kevin, Mr. Wonderful O'Leary. He wanted half the company for 400 grand, which was half of what we were going to earn that year. So it made no sense to be valuing the company at one time what revenue was going to be when we had been growing like this and continue to since then. So the show was great for us. We did about 3 months worth of sales in the week following the show. The amazing thing, if we think about how business has grown, is that 3 months worth of sales is now the volume we do in about 4 days. It's getting there.
It's so funny because I just answered a question for somebody for a magazine article, and they were asking, if you could start it all over again as far as business, what would be the one thing that you would do differently? And I had to say, so I know I'm weird. I'm an introvert. I'm weird. I accept it. I own it. But in this time, the introvert, the weird, the misunderstood, we're winning. We are winning.
It's really true. Yeah, it's it's funny. I went to my 30th high school reunion, whatever that was, 5 years ago or something. What year is it now? This is 18. So I graduated in 80. All right, you do the math. 3 years ago. So whenever the hell that was. And I realized in talking to people whom I hadn't seen in 30 years, people who I thought I was friends with, people I'd gone to school with since kindergarten, in talking to them, I'll make the long story very short, I realized, I was the person they thought was nuts. I did not know that. I literally thought, it was normal. We were friends. The number of times someone said to me, yeah, it would be someone like you who did that. It was like, wait, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. But yeah, I would agree with you. That said, the two hottest people in my class, they were doing pretty well.
And that speaks volumes, because when you decide that you're going to be the face of your brand, when you did Xero Shoes, I know I read about, how it started and how your wife kind of had the side eye on you.
Not kind of. She was so I built this website without her permission, and the next morning she just growled at me. And the thing that calmed her down is that I said, look, the people that are ranking for the keywords that we care about are there by accident. I'll own this in a few months. It won't take up much time. It'll be a car payment. We never imagined it was going to turn into what it did. So yeah, she was not happy at first, but she's my co-founder and CFO. And if it weren't for her, this wouldn't be happening. She's a brilliant business person and the owner of the company. So I have to say that.
Wow. Okay. Yes, we definitely put that out and say that is a huge, amazing accomplishment, because in order to be, the side and be the helper and be the encouragement, and there's a lot that you have to go through on the sides that even when you're not in the forefront.
No, we really, it's interesting actually. So we're a really good team. I'm the product marketing vision guy and Lena is the operations finance person. And we never talked about going into business together. It just kind of happened. And for the first couple of years, I was trying not to be the face of the company, not because of, I didn't want to be out there as much as I didn't want to link me to the company. If we were ever going to sell the company or something, I wanted it to be independent of us. But I would make videos where I would just say, hey, it's me, and then show pictures of my feet for the next 10 minutes because we were doing a do-it-yourself sandal kit. And people would recognize me and they would respond to it. And it became clear. I mean, I know this, people respond to people. So it became obvious that I needed to step into that. Well, Lena really tries to avoid being on the videos as much as she can. I mean, if you go to our website, you see her on the footer of every page, but she tries to stay in the background more. But what's been really exciting for me watching her and watching her grow as a business person is in the last couple of years, she's really stepped up more, and she's showing up at these events where she's on panels about things that we've done about running a business and about being an entrepreneur, being a woman entrepreneur and crowdfunding. And I just love watching her do it because she's really, really good. And yeah, she's much more introverted than I. So it's her natural inclination is to not do it, but she's so good at it. It's really great to see. And she recognizes the value of it now too.
And that's definitely a positive thing that, as introverts, and like I said, as introverts, as the weird, the misunderstood, we're winning. And because there's really are some things that we do that make us really good in, as an entrepreneur, make us really good in business, in management. And, we want to keep behind the scenes. Personally, I would love to be able to sit down and just read books and not have to talk to people on the phone. But
everybody thinks that. My joke is if we ever have to start another business, it won't involve products, services, customers, or employees, or technology.
Or technology, yes.
We just don't do any of those things. So here's one of my favorite sort of weird things. I know that we're on video. People are watching this right now, but I have to do this. Oh, God. Okay. You're making me crazy for the last 5 minutes. Okay.
So exactly. And so as we move forward, okay, so we went ahead and we said no to a $400,000 offer because in this process of becoming the brand and not just selling something to make money, because this is a huge thing that is going on in entrepreneurship as speakers, as authors, is we're coming into it money focused. And then when the money doesn't come, we quit. But when we're coming into it a little more service focused and heart focused, I found that those are the companies that are really expanding. So that piece.
No, the line that we have is if you're going to start a business, make sure it's something that changes people's lives, because otherwise it's just too damn hard. And if you can wake up and you know that every day you're going to get emails and phone calls from people saying you've changed my life, that's what keeps us going. And now, granted, that's not the only way to do it. I know people who do it just for the thrill of the money and various other things, but that's just not the way we're wired. We're trying to change the world. And just to explain what that means for us, is your feet are made to bend and move and flex and feel the world. And most of the shoes that people are wearing for the last 50 years are the opposite. They keep your toes cramped up. They're stiff. They don't let you feel anything. We call them foot coffins. And because they really do kill your feet. And so we're trying to make people, we're creating what we call a movement. We want people to let their body move and work naturally. And we're creating footwear to allow that. So it's a big deal. And if it weren't for that kind of vision and that possibility, it's not just the vision. I mean, you can make up something like, I want to get all the world to wear nothing but purple. But this is sorry, I just noticed you were wearing purple. So, But it's not that. I mean, it is that. Go for it. I think you're a really good spokesperson for our new Wear Purple Only.
Right.
But anyway, this is a mission that's built out of something that's a real thing. It's funny when I talk to marketing people who might work with us, I go, when's the last time you were able to market something that was true, where all you had to do was tell the truth? And they are sort of blown away. They go, yeah, I've never been able to do that in my career before. So we have a lot of fun as a result of that. And there's also, the evil empire. So the big shoe companies who have literally said while we were on a stage together that they have no evidence for any of the claims that they've been making. It's like my mind explodes. You've had 50 years and you have billions of dollars and it's worth billions of dollars to have a study that backs up what you say. Why wouldn't you? And the answer is because they can't. So anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of doing it because there's a reason to do it beyond the hope that you're going to cash out. And, I will unabashedly admit that some of the people who do it just to cash out, sometimes I look at them and go, man, I wish I could have done that.
Right. And there's some instances where you're just like, sometimes you wake up and you're just like, I'm not feeling it today. Yeah, I wish I would have just did something where I could have just sold it off and kept moving. But
can't do it.
Always get those responses or those customers and clients that really make you go, nah, I'm in for the long.
So glad it is. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I have a couple friends, we've talked about this, where we know people they've raised money for their business just over and over and over to successive rounds, and they take money off the table every time they do it, and they end up with a bunch of money, and then the company goes under. And, congratulations, you made that money, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't live with myself that way.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes about you as the individual as well as the brand, and that part.
Well, one of my lines, I say all companies rise to the level of the neuroses of the founders. So there's always some part where it's going to represent your personality in a good way. And then there's parts where you have to recognize the parts where it's representing your personality in a way that's not conducive to the growth of the business. And that's something Lena and I have been aware of since day one. And we're now hopefully in a position where we're bringing people in who really can do the things that just we're not wired for, or that we don't like doing that we really should be doing, or things like that. That's a whole other game.
And so I know we talked about it a little bit behind the scenes before we started, but in being the face of the brand, that means that, we got to go and talk.
You would think being the face of the brand that I would have shaved and my hair would be looking a little better today, but that just didn't happen, because one of the things is, here's the face of the brand, here's the brand. This has been a crazy week where I'm working 7 a.m. till midnight every day. So that's what you get. But yeah, it's true. It's interesting because I, in particular, Lena less so, have this public persona. I'm hyper aware of what that means and the responsibility that goes along with that. There's a lot of things that I would say to you privately that I won't say publicly. Not even that they're controversial. I just don't want to get into it. It's just not, it doesn't serve what we're trying to do. There's no value in me talking about religion or politics or whether you should be a vegan or go paleo and eat nothing but meat. Or, there's so many things where people get so hyper polarized. We had someone yelling at us, something about, they thought we were taking some political position. And I literally had to post, we don't take political positions. We sell shoes that are good for you. That's it. And people want to drag us into these conversations. And I know, again, if we were sitting around a table having dinner, I'd be into the conversation. I would definitely have a position that would be a little odd, or I would question people just for the fun of pulling rugs out from underneath beliefs. But regardless, that would be a conversation that I would enjoy engaging in. But I won't do it publicly, because who cares what I think? That's not why I'm here. I'm here to share the benefits and the fun of letting your body do what's natural and products that support that. That's it. So, and in fact, if we, for example, let's say we sold the company, it's not like I would then get online and start spouting all these thoughts that I have. Frankly, I'm more likely just to never get online again, because the other part, just the value of being able to not be a public persona or have a public persona. And it's not like I'm crafting something different than what I am now. If you watch my videos, I'm kind of just like this. But again, there's just topics that I talk about, topics that I don't talk about. And it's not that I would want to go talking about them. I would rather just disappear and you can come visit me on the island.
Right. Definitely. I'm going to hold you to that offer indefinitely. So the first time you're speaking on a stage, I know that you talked about you being on stage with some of the biggest companies and shoe brands, and being on stage. How did that first moment feel? Was it like you stood there and nothing came out? Did you fail?
No, I was just jumping at the bit. I was ready to go. I was basically the biggest thing that I was doing, because I knew that I wanted to take these guys down. So the biggest thing I was doing was thinking of, actually, I'm going to tell you a story this way. A friend of mine had been on Oprah a number of times. And I said to him one day, how did you prepare for being on Oprah? And his answer was, I thought of the most incendiary, inflammatory, insane things that I could say in the nicest way possible. And I said, give me an example. And he said, oh, here's one. I started by saying an affair could be the best thing that could happen to your relationship. And people went insane. And, and that was what he wanted. He wanted them to go crazy, because he wanted to say, because what that's going to do is highlight some unspoken issues in the relationship. The reason the affair happened was to bring those up. And now you have the chance. And if you take that opportunity, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to you. Some people do, some people don't. So in the same way, I was thinking of the most incendiary things that I could do with the simple, actually the way he said was, what's the simplest thing I teach? What's the most incendiary way that I could say it? So same idea. And for me, it was talking to these guys who run development at major shoe companies and just asking, where's the proof? Where's the evidence that what you do, your products reduce injury and improve performance? That's it. So I was just like raring to go and couldn't wait. Same thing with Shark Tank. When we were walking out to get into the tank down that hall, I was like bounding down that hall. I'm like dragging Lena with me because I was walking so fast, because I couldn't wait to get into the conversation. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons that I have that inclination is, again, I mentioned I was a professional stand-up comic for a living. When you do comedy for a while, what makes you a good comic, one of the things that makes you a good comic is getting, how do I want to say it? You someday realize that there's nothing that anyone could ever say or do that you can't handle. Might not be perfect, might not be ideal, but it's not going to throw you. You're going to be able to roll with it. You're going to be able to deal with it. Maybe you walk away and you lose, but you don't care anymore, or you don't care as much anymore. And so same thing with these situations. I just can't wait to get in and see what happens, because there's nothing anyone's ever going to say that's going to throw me. And if anything, it'll be exciting to see what they do and find out how I need to respond to it. I mean, I enjoy that.
And that response it feels good when you give that response, because you're like, yeah, I did that.
Well, and here's another part to it. I'm impossible to insult. And the reason that I'm impossible to insult is because there's nothing you could say about me that isn't either totally true. So what am I going to argue with? Completely not true. And so why would I get upset? Or something that I've been looking to hide that I'm hoping you didn't notice, like you say it and I've been thinking it myself and I was hoping no one would notice. And so then the true thing there is, yeah, I think that too sometimes and I wish it weren't like that. What do you suggest? So there's no reason to be defensive, because the worst thing anyone could say about me is something I've probably thought way worse about me. And so why would we fight about something we agree with? When my wife and I got together, before we got together, at one point I said, just tell me all the things that you don't like about me. Just, Steven, you are a. And she just listed one after another. And I was just like loving it. She was getting really confused. Like, why aren't you arguing with me or getting mad? And I was thinking, I didn't know you thought about me this much. So everything she said, even if it wasn't factually true, was something that I believed. And I knew that it wasn't necessarily true. I remember she said, you think you're spiritually superior to me. And I go, oh my God, I totally think that. I'm not saying it's true. In fact, I'm positive it's not. But here's the 1,000 reasons why I have had that thought. And my apologies if it came out in some weird way. In fact, I really hadn't thought about it. But, yeah, you're right that I think that. Totally probably not true. And so, on we went. And it's just not even an issue anymore. And crazy as that sounds, it's the same thing with business. When in Shark Tank, when Kevin O'Leary said we offered 8% for $400,000, he said, I'll give you the $400,000 for 50%. I said, no way. He goes, make me a counteroffer. I said 10%. He goes, you're crazy. I went, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
All entrepreneurs are at some level. So, good chance. I mean, I don't think I am in terms of the finances, but you could be right. I'm not going to argue about that.
I definitely have a smile on that one, because we as entrepreneurs, we get into this headspace of we're scared to turn something down. And so
oh my God.
right, we
Wait,
get into this headspace. We're scared that if we say no, that means that we won't be able to be successful.
I've got to tell you, it's my favorite thing that I'm doing right now. We have all these private equity guys and potential investors calling us because we've been doing really well, and they'll call and they say, "Hey, we're really interested in you. We've seen you here and here. We've been following you. How much? What was your revenue last year, and what was your earnings last year?" And I go, "Oh yeah, you're not the right fit for me." They go, "What?" I go, "If the first question you're asking is about our numbers, you're not the right fit." So by the way, your video just turned off. So what I say is, what's most important for us is our mission. And if you don't see that first, then we're not going to have a good time together. And so, let's just stop it now. Really, really fun to do. Oh no.
Okay. So I have to definitely say that, yeah, that's one of those things that startup entrepreneurs always go through, is that if I say no, oh my goodness, I'm never going to make any money after this.
It's a wonderful thing. I had a meeting this morning and I said, this is going to be the fastest meeting we've ever had. I've had no time to think about your proposal in the last 2 weeks, and I'm not going to try and blow smoke up your butt. So call me in 3 more weeks and maybe I will have looked at it. And probably I'm going to say no.
And I'm probably going to say no. I love that. Matter of factly, I'm probably
it's whatever time it is. It's 10:39 and no. And I mean, that's really it. It's not personal.
And so I always ask everybody that comes on as a guest, in the journey that you have made, I mean, this business is going well beyond what you would have thought in the original stages. But do you look back, and is there anything that you look back at and say, maybe I should have did that part?
No, I don't do that. Well, let me take it back. In general, I don't do that because I know that at any given moment, you're making the best decision you can, given the combination of information you have and the way your brain works. So that's one answer. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. The other answer is every internet marketer that I know has a list of things that they know they should have done and didn't do that would have made them money, or should have done way sooner because of how much money it made for them once they started doing it. So I have a list of those. I have a giant list of things that had I done them, I was thinking like I should be doing it now, and I didn't get to it till here, that had we done it earlier would have really helped the company tremendously. But what are you going to do? I don't have time to really beat myself up about it. So things like really focusing on our email marketing, really doing email capture. So if you come to xeroshoes.com, when you try to leave the site, big thing will pop up on the screen, seeing if you want to register to get a $100 gift certificate. And then there's a sweepstakes you can enter to help win that thing. And that's going to end in a week. I need to pick a winner. But that's something I was thinking of doing for years, and I didn't get around to it till about 1.5 years ago. And it has exploded our email list and been huge for our business. So I look at that and go, I can't believe I didn't do that sooner. And there were so many other things going on. And if I really could go back in time and look at life in those moments, I probably wouldn't have made a different decision. It's just, in every business, there's opportunity cost where you missed an opportunity. It's the way it happens. And there's things where you spend money on things that didn't work. And that's just the way it happens. I mean, if I could get back just the money I've spent on things that I tried that didn't work in the last 30 years, we'd be on the island.
Luckily, yes, we'd be on the island with brownies. Brownies, fine.
Yep.
Brownies, maybe some pineapples, but brownies for sure. For sure, brownies.
I'm okay with both of those. Big fan of pineapple.
I thank you so much for being our guest today. I want you to let everybody know how they can get in contact with you. I know you just talked about the way that they can get on the email list, and something about being able to win something. Tell them a little bit more about that before we leave.
So you can find me. We're xeroshoes.com, xeroshoes.com, or on social media, pretty much anything as Xero Shoes. You can send smoke signals if you want. You can send carrier pigeons. I'm really up to anything. Telegrams, Western Union, that's cool too. Whatever you want to do. And to enter our $100 gift certificate sweepstakes, when you go to our website, if you look typically at the very top of the screen, there's a little thing that says click here to enter to win. Or you can go to xeroshoes.com/win100, WIN100. Or if you go to the site and then just try to exit, unless you're on mobile, it doesn't work on mobile. But if you're on a desktop and if you're on mobile, you may only see this when you enter the page. Otherwise, when you leave the page on desktop, you'll see an opportunity to opt in as well. But more importantly, just come check out the site, see what we're doing, ask us questions. We have a wonderful customer happiness team who's here to help and just help you get out of footwear that's uncomfortable until you take it off and into something that's so comfortable you might even fall asleep when you're still wearing them, not because you were drunk, but because you forgot you were wearing them. So
that part. We want to make sure that we put that disclaimer in there.
That's right. Well, we're just here to help you just feel the freedom of natural movement and live life feet first.
That's what it is. Guys, you guys know that the Speakeasy podcast comes to you each and every week to talk to you about the behind the scenes. Some of you get into, or you think about wanting to be the speaker, the author, the entrepreneur, and you kind of get all of these mixed messages because we see people that have been successful. We see a lot of people who haven't, who are on their way. But here it is, you have someone who has been successful, who is continuously being successful, and who is taking not only their brand, their personal brand, but the business brand to a whole nother level. So guess what? If he can do it, you can do it as well. And those of you that are speakers and authors, I would love to have you on the brand, bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast, all lowercase, is how you can choose a date to be a guest here on the Speakeasy Podcast. And guys, look, share it out. Somebody somewhere may need this information. So leave us a review, share it out. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.